You're listening to the Co-Creator Network. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Good afternoon, everybody, and how are you doing? Welcome once again to another edition of The Way of the Desert with me, your host, and HeatherAsh Amara with Toci Solution. Hello, Heather.
Hey, Miguel.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. I'm very happy to be merging our radio shows for now and getting to explore new opportunities and vistas with our guests. So thanks for inviting me, honey.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's mine. It's so much fun, you know. And for everyone here today is Wednesday, March 13th, 2013. I'm speaking to you straight from the beautiful city of Seattle, Washington. And a quick bulletin board. Me and my dad are up here in Seattle to do some workshops and lectures. Tomorrow I'll be at the Barnes & Noble doing a book signing, and then me and my dad will be doing a lecture on Saturday, and then me and HeatherAsh Amara will be at the East-West Bookshop together talking about the 5 levels of attachment. And yeah, what else are you doing, Heather?
I am going to be at the Saturday talk as well briefly, and then I'm going to be heading to Ashland and doing a couple talks down in Ashland the next weekend.
Cool.
So excited about that. Bloomsbury and a place called Mystic Earth.
That's good stuff. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. It will be.
Well, today's show, we have a very special guest. It's the first, one of the reasons why me and HeatherAsh got together is because we wanted to interview some great authors, some great friends, and today we have a special guest, Sunny Dawn Johnston, author of the book Invoking the Archangels. Welcome to the show, Sunny.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you both.
Yay! Thank you so much for playing. So tell us a little bit about the Archangels.
A little bit about the Archangels. Well, I've been kind of hanging out with them most of my life. They have been, for me, really the connection to spirit that I really needed and was looking for in difficult times in my life. So I think spirit shows up in the form that we can, that we can connect to and that we can understand at any given time. And for me, the Archangels have been a constant in my life. So that's why I wrote the book, and that's why I'm talking to you guys today, is just to share a little bit about how you can connect with them and how they can work with you and help you. And
I think we lost HeatherAsh today, so before she connects, let's just keep going.
I was going to say maybe the angels stepped away for a little while.
Yeah, one of our most beautiful angels too. We'll soon have HeatherAsh back when she calls in. But in the meantime, can you give us the name of the Archangels and the color that goes along with them?
Sure. Yeah. This is based on my experience as a child. From the age of 13 is when I started seeing them and experiencing them. And so the 7 archangels that I specifically write about are Archangel Michael, which is vibrating to the color blue. Archangel Raphael, and he is the angel of protection, guidance, strength, and courage. Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing, and he vibrates to the color green. That can be healing on any level, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Mm-hmm. Archangel Jophiel is the angel of creativity and manifestation and beauty and art, and Jophiel vibrates to the color yellow. Mm-hmm. Archangel Shamuel is the angel of unconditional love and adoration, and Shamuel vibrates to the color pink. Archangel Gabriel, which is really an angel I've been working with a lot right now because I'm working on another book, is the angel of communication and expression, vibrates to the color white. Archangel Uriel is the angel of transmutation and seeing the bigger picture in things, learning and wisdom, and vibrates to the color red. And the final archangel is Archangel Zadkiel, and he is the angel of forgiveness, mercy, benevolence, and he vibrates to the color violet.
Wow, that's so beautiful. You know, my grandmother, when she used to do faith healing, she used to use these colors for the healing. And when you were telling the stories in your book about how you brought them into your life and how your personal experiences, how each one of these archangels helped you in those pivotal moments of your life with your children and your own personal experience, it reminded me of what my grandmother used to say about how these lights heal and they help us so much. And it was such a wonderful thing to see it from your point of view, because my grandmother didn't have a name for them. She always, like, for example, would talk about blue and the red and in her prayers. And to watch and when reading your book and seeing how it comes into life, I loved it. I loved hearing how they come in. How, with these colors, how do you are able to connect to each one of these archangels with in your invocations?
Well, I love that you just shared that, because one of the things that people oftentimes struggle with or feel like they're not doing right is that sometimes they feel like they need to see an actual form of an angel, and that isn't the case. I would actually say that in the beginning, that is the way they came to me. I think because I was so young that that would feel safe to me. But as I've grown and evolved and understand energy and those types of things over the years, they do come to me in lights. It's light. And so I love that you shared that, because that does help people understand that it's the energy of these qualities. So, you know, for me, the way that I call them in is different depending on where I'm at in my life, what's happening in my life, where I've been, and so there are certainly formal invocations that you can use to bring the angels into your life, but it isn't necessary for them to be formal. It can be as simple as, you know, Archangel Michael, surround me, or Archangel Gabriel, help me to express myself. So it can be as formal or informal as you want. They don't care. It's us that care.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
you know, I wrote the book really just to give people a foundation based on the experiences that I've had. And so is that information interesting? Yes. Does it help validate oftentimes some of the experiences that we've had in our life? Certainly. But is it necessary to know exactly who and what time and exactly the formal prayer? It isn't.
You know, in your book, you talk a lot about the experiences, and that the experiences really are what drive the book in your own life. And I love in your book, can you tell us the story of your experience with Archbishop Michael, and the story of your brother seeing that blue bubble?
Absolutely.
That's to me. I love that. I would love to hear it. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Well, Archangel Michael, I started learning about the angels. The very first experience I had was waking up in the middle of the night. I was 13 years old. I woke up and rolled over, and I saw this beautiful, colorful, winged being above my bed. And I didn't know what an angel was. I didn't know that that's what it was. I just knew that it was what I felt more than what I saw. And what I felt was this peace and this calm and this relaxation that I had never felt in my life. And I literally just rolled over and went back to sleep. So that was my first experience. I went downstairs and I told my mom the next day what happened, and she goes, "Well, Sunny, that was your guardian angel." And that is what opened the door. So from there I started saying, you know, angels, please come to me. I want to experience that again. I want to feel that calm and that peace that I hadn't ever experienced. I want to feel that again. So I just kept asking, and about 2 months later, my parents were going through a lot. There's a lot of challenge going on in our house and arguing and things like that. And so this particular night, they had gone out to dinner and decided to go and kind of discuss things. And so they left me in charge of my brother. I was 13, he was 5. And they said, we'll be back in a few hours. So about 20 minutes after they left, my brother had been upstairs playing with his guys, and he ran downstairs just crying, sobbing, and said, Sunny, all of my friends are gone, and they're all gone, and now there's only scary and frowny faces. Well, the story around his friends is from the time that he was able to talk, he always talked about his friends. His friends were triangles, circles, and squares with wings. Mm-hmm. And they were all primary colors. And he would say, my friends have got to get in the car. My friends have got to go shopping with us. And they always went everywhere we went. So these friends were always with us. And so when his friends were gone and he comes down and he starts crying, it scared me. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be the big sister, and I'm going to go up there and figure out, and I couldn't see him. He could see him. I couldn't see him. So I went to go up the stairs, and as I took that first step up, I couldn't go up the stairs. There was this energy of fear and this energy of negativity or heaviness that I didn't know what it was, but it scared me. So we went and sat in the very back corner of our house the rest of the night until my parents got home. And when they got home that night, I said, you know what, there's something scary, creepy, bad, something, and I'm a teenager, so I'm a little smart-mouthed and cocky, believe it or not. So I'm like, you guys got to do something about this because it's freaky. And my mom said, well, I'll call my friend over. She'll come over, and I'll have her do a clearing on the house. So the next morning, my little brother, not knowing anything about what we're doing, he's 5 years old, he goes outside. He rides his big wheel up and down the street, and he's just kind of hanging out there. And my mom's friend comes over, and she says, okay, well, I'm going to do an invocation. I'm going to bring in Archangel Michael, and I'm going to ask him to clear the energy from the house, and then everything will be fine. And I'm thinking, okay, well, obviously you don't feel what I'm feeling because I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah.
But I did go ahead and go along with it because, what else am I going to do? I just didn't want it there. So we gathered in a circle in the front of in the foyer of the house, and again, my brother knows nothing about what we're doing, and so we gather, and she says, I want us to hold hands. So my mother and myself and Leo, we all three hold hands and close our eyes, and so everybody closes their eyes, but I only close one of my eyes because I want to see what's going to happen. I mean, if this Archangel Michael, whoever this is, I want to see it. Yeah. And she did a very simple prayer. The prayer was, I invoke the blue light of Archangel Michael to surround and protect this house from any negative energy or entities seen or unseen. That was it. And so as she's saying this prayer, I'm looking with my one eye, and I don't see anything. I don't feel anything, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, that didn't work. Now what are we going to do? And just as everybody opened their eyes, and just as I went to say that, my little brother came running in the front door, and he said, Mommy, there is a great big blue bubble around our house.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, it worked. Thank you, it worked. So that was my first experience with Archangel Michael. And my brother being visual, as soon as it was intended, as soon as it was asked for or invoked, he could see it. Me being a feeler, I was so focused on trying to see that I missed the entire experience and the gift because I wasn't paying attention. And I was trying to be different than I was.
And in that moment, like it changed your life. And from there, you in your book, you began to talk about how in every other facets in your life, how each angel came to your help and to help you through that transition. And one thing that you just mentioned, which is, the willingness to see it, not get your thoughts in the way of witnessing. How were you able to begin to practice that of letting the perception be without your mind getting in the way?
It was hard, especially, this was when I was a teenager, and there was so much going on in my mind that for many years I really did push a lot of it away because I didn't necessarily understand it all. I was having some of these experiences, but when I started talking to people around me, they would get concerned about me and think something was wrong with me. So I just learned to kind of keep it quiet and not really talk about it. And so I disconnected as much as I possibly could. And really what happened is it just started happening so often that I couldn't negate the fact that these messages, these signs, these symbols, this healing energy was coming through. And so I think I had so many experiences that I was just forced to have to pay attention. And then it was being open to the way they were coming to me. So, for example, I think most people just want to see. Just let me see it. If I could see my deceased grandmother, if I could see the angels, if I could see my ex-boyfriend, if I could see these people, then I would know that it was real. And some of us aren't as visual. Some of us are feelers.
Yes.
And we have to pay attention to that feeling. And so what I learned for me was that I think I tried so hard to see that finally I almost just gave up. And in that surrendering of that, I really was allowed to experience the presence through my feeling, through my body, through my awareness of what was happening around me that I couldn't see. And so that really is, I think, what opened the door. And I asked for help. I kept asking, help me to experience you in a way that I know for sure that this is you.
Mm-hmm. HeatherAsh, you're here?
I am here. I am back. Yes.
Welcome back.
And thank you. I love your stories, Sunny, and the amount of light that you bring whenever you walk into a room. Like, your being is so bright and so clear. And what I love feeling in you is the confidence and that you know that you're held and supported and that everything is fine. And you've been through a lot.
That was a long time coming.
Exactly. You've been through a lot in your
life. Girl.
I know.
Thank you for that.
And I think that's what's so just joyful is that to be able to share to everyone. This is what I would love to share and to convey is that sometimes people go, oh yeah, well that person can see energy or can see angels or is really bright and light. They must have had a really easy life, or they must have been really supported. And you're one of the cases, which is probably most of us, but the cases where it was not easy. Your life has had challenges. There's been difficulties. And so what would you share with someone who's in struggle, who has a challenging life or has had challenges in their life and is trying to feel into how to let go, how to come into trust? What would be their next step? Or how would you guide them?
I think that's a really great point, Heather, and I think that is so common that people do have that perception. And the truth of the matter is that for many of us that are in this experience and in this awareness, it's been a lot of the challenges that have helped us to see that. Not that we have to have them that way. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's oftentimes how we have learned. For me, I would say that I didn't trust in the beginning. I didn't. And so what happened for me is that I started to have, I think it got too hard. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And it just got too hard to push against it. So I couldn't stay in that place of resistance and fear any longer. And so for me it was, what do I have to lose? I'm just going to ask for help. I'm going to ask for support. And the other piece of that was I didn't want to ask people because that was too hard for me to receive from people around me. So it was easier for me to almost have this silent experience of, okay, I'm going to just ask the spirit world. I'm not even sure who's up there. At this time, I didn't know. I'm not sure who's on my side, who isn't, but I'm just going to ask from here because if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be disappointed. But if I ask somebody in this physical world and it doesn't happen, then I'm going to be disappointed and set myself up for failure. So I think it was safer for me to just go, you know what, angels guide me. Angels show yourselves to me. Allow me to experience you. Help me to heal this pain that I have in my life, and this emotion, this physical illness or disease. Because I literally have had that experience. I was on my deathbed, absolute confirmed, near death, and inviting Archangel Raphael in was miraculously healed. And so I think that once I had so many of those experiences, I couldn't deny it any longer. And so then it was, I just opened myself up to receive it. And this is the piece I think that we struggle the most with, is we ask and we ask and we ask, but we are looking to receive it in the way we think it should be. And instead of being open to receive in whatever form is for our highest good.
Mm-hmm. With the book title being Invoking the Archangels, a 9-step process to heal your body, mind, and soul. Can you walk us through the 9-step process to heal?
Absolutely. Well, the 9-step process came to me from the angels. And what I realized when I was writing the book, I never really planned to write a book. I thought I might one day, but I didn't know what it was going to be about. And I knew the angels would be involved, but I didn't even know I had a process.
Yeah.
And when I started, asking for help and asking for support and looking back over my life, I realized that there were absolutely things that I did throughout the difficult times in my life that got me to that healing place, that place of appreciation and gratitude for whatever the challenge was. So that's where the 9 steps came from. So the first step is awareness. You got to know what the issue is to be able to heal it. So it's just becoming aware of what your challenge or what your issue is. Step 2 is looking within. Oftentimes we go outside of ourselves. We ask everybody's opinion of what we should do, what we shouldn't have done, where we should go, could, should, woulds. And instead, go within, ask Spirit, listen to your own guidance and see where you're guided from there. Step number 3 is choice. Just make a choice. Sometimes I think it's scary to make a choice because we think it's going to be the wrong choice, but in not choosing, we're still making a choice. So step 3 is choice. Step 4 is commitment. And step 4 is really just committing to do something and to be something, to create space for meditation or to take one step forward in your life or to do an affirmation or say something nice to yourself, but make some form of commitment to help you move forward. Step 5 is, I think, the most powerful one, responsibility. Take responsibility for your life. Quit blaming it on everybody else and saying, if they would have done this or that, then I would be this or that. And instead, take the responsibility and look at the fact that if you take responsibility, then if you created the issue, you can heal it. But if you give responsibility to someone else, then it's basically saying, I'm going to put my healing in that person's hands. So I think responsibility is really powerful. Step 6 is action. Do something. Quit talking about it. Do it. Just take the action. Step 7 is releasing, letting go of the old energy, letting go of the judgments, the fears, the control issues, whatever, and replenishing. Fill yourself up with love. Fill yourself up with light. Fill yourself up with peace and hope. Step 8, maintenance. Maintain your own energy. Get your nose out of everybody else's business and focus on your own. Stay in your own energy and hold your vibration. Hold your vibration. And then step 9 is appreciation. And what I discovered is as you walk through these steps from the beginning, the challenge or the issue, to appreciation, appreciation of the challenge, like I'm grateful that it happened and I can see why. The other thing that happens automatically, the majority of the time, is forgiveness. We're able to see the value in the experience, and then no longer is it, this difficult, painful thing. It's more of thank you for this gift. And so that's the 9-step process as I have worked with clients, as I experienced this in my own life over and over again, and I found that sometimes people change the steps a little bit. They do them in a little bit different order, but in my experience, we need to go through those in order to get to that place of appreciation, which is where we really all want to be, I think. Yes,
I totally agree. And for you, these steps as instruments of transformation or for self-healing, with the intent of the angels in each color, how do we combine them?
Well, so depending on what step you're working on, if you're working on maintenance, then you may want to bring in Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael is the angel of protection. He helps us to protect, to maintain our own energy. so often the reason people don't do some of the things that they really could do in their life is because they're so busy taking on the energy, absorbing the energy of everybody around them, all the pain, all the fear, all the anger, and taking it, and actually it affects them physically, mentally, emotionally. So you could call in Archangel Michael, and you know, for me, I do a prayer every morning, and I just ask Michael to surround me and protect me so that I don't absorb any negative energy. So because when you're a sensitive person, I think you have to learn to walk the world a little bit differently. And so many people nowadays absorb the energy of what's happening in our world. And instead, if we can observe the energy, we can learn to maintain our own energy so we can be a witness of what's happening around us, but not have to absorb it and take it all on. So in each one of the steps, you can bring in one of the archangels, whichever one you feel guided to. So based on what you're experiencing and what you're needing.
Okay. In your book, there's a moment as you describe the passing of your mother-in-law. Can you show with us with that story? Because I think it's a very beautiful story, and I love it. And if we can combine these 9 steps into that experience, how can we see that?
Well, you know, the story about my mother-in-law is really a story of what happened for me when I was actually in the process of being with someone in their last moments, the last 18 hours of her life, and the process that I went through, and absolutely, you know, those 9 steps applied to that process. She'd had a stroke and had very little brain stem left when I got the phone call that she was that she wasn't going to make it, and they were going to unplug, take the machines off of her, and let her pass peacefully. And when I found that out, the first thing I did was, that was the awareness of the situation, and the first thing that I did was I went within myself. I didn't ask really any questions about what was going to happen, how it was going to work. I just went within to get connected with her spirit and to see, because I felt like I was meant to be there. And so I did take that step of going within and also making a choice. I made a choice to go to California. I was living in Arizona, and I literally jumped on a plane without telling anybody, because I felt guided to be there with her during her last moments, because I had discovered that none of her children were going to be there. They were scared of death, and so they didn't feel like they could be there for her. And so the third step, making a choice, I made a choice to fly to California in 20 minutes' time. The fourth step, make a commitment. I committed myself to following through and going there regardless of what the outcome was going to be. I didn't know what I was going to face. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I made that commitment to myself and to her to be there with her. Step 5 was responsibility, and there was some challenge around going back there. This was my ex's mother. I knew I would see some of the family members, and I hadn't seen them for about 8 or 9 years, and there was a reason why they were an ex. and so I had some challenge around the responsibility piece of it, and I realized, I'm going to take responsibility for where I am, and I want to be there with her, and so whatever comes with that, I'm not going to blame them for not being able to be there. I'm going to be there because I have the opportunity. Step 6, action. I got on the plane, I drove there, I got there, and I spent an incredible amount of sacred time with her during her last few hours, talking to her. She couldn't talk, but she could. Her mouth didn't move, but I could hear what she was saying, which was such an incredible experience. And so valuable for me. Step 7, releasing and replenishing. I had to release the fear of what this was going to look like, and I had to fill myself up with the trust that it was going to be okay and that I would be guided all the way through the entire experience. Step 8, maintaining my energy. Absolutely, I had to do that because there were a lot of there was a lot of anger that I was there. There was a lot of challenge in that situation, and so I did that. And then, of course, step 9 was appreciation, and in this experience, although I was a little bit nervous and I didn't know what to expect, I got to be with her, and when she left her body, I felt her spirit go through my body, and it was the most sacred experience I've had, even above the birth of my children, which was hard to understand even. But it was such a sacred space to be the physical vessel that got to witness her going back home. It was a birthday there. It was a birthday party is the way it was,
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I could feel it in the room, and I could see it with the energies in the room, and I could feel the celebration on that side at the same exact time that I was feeling the sadness on this side. And so that appreciation of thank you for letting me be a part of this journey, and from there, it just continued, because she has been with me ever since then as my kind of cheerleader. And Sunny, get to work. You start doing what you're supposed to be doing and quit sitting around just being a mom and that's all you're doing. It's time for you to do something more. So, it was a great, great, great opportunity for me.
I one of the reasons why I love that story is I can totally understand where you're coming from in that moment. That moment of when we let someone go, when someone's passing away. It's a birth. It really is a birth, because just like we celebrate someone coming into this world, like my son, my daughter, everyone, it's a moment where we come into this cycle of life, the manifest, and they go to the unmanifest. There's one question I have, and it's in regards to step 8, because I might, as you might know, my mother-in-law just passed away, and I'm witnessed my wife and my sister and brothers-in-law go through this process I've gone through, but never to the extent of my mother and my family yet. In step 8, holding your energy, how can you describe that holding of the energy where you're obviously mourning your own emotions, yet holding them in their space and celebrating that passage? How does one hold that energy?
Well, for me, what it was when I call Michael's energy, and I feel like I have that extra support, that extra the extra awareness of when I am. We go through grief and we go through pain, and we're going to experience the sadness and go through the grief process. But I think the difference is that oftentimes I have been aware of when it's not just my energy, when I'm grieving for the people that are grieving around me. And the more that I can be of service, and I think the best way that I'm of service is to walk my own journey, walk my own process, and honor where each and every person is in theirs, not try to make it better for them, not try to make it worse for them, but just honor and witness, I think is the best word I can use, witness the experience that each person is having. And I've definitely had times in my life where I have not done that, and I know what that feels like within my body and within my energy field, versus when, even in a passing, there is the sadness that is absolutely people are experiencing, and at the same time, the best source of healing is allowing that energy to just move through you and honoring each movement that comes. And I think that that's the difference, is that when you are not maintaining your energy, it's almost like you get so worn out and you get so heavy and you feel so dense because of the sadness and the person leaving. And yet, when you maintain your energy, it's almost as if there's a piece of joy or a piece of excitement for the journey that's coming for them, the new journey that they're on, the birth that they're having over there. And the best thing I can say, Miguel, is it feels different. It's hard to explain, but it feels completely different in your body, and oftentimes because you don't feel the density, the heaviness. So you still feel sad in the parts that you miss of the physical expression of them here, but it doesn't feel, I guess, overwhelming. It doesn't feel heavy. It's more of a cycle of life.
Yes.
And it is hard to explain, but I do think that when you're in that place of being able to be that witness and observe it, you know the difference. You can feel it in your body. And I think we know, too, when we're carrying everybody's pain.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because some in those moments, it's hard not to. And
Absolutely.
to have that, to understand the separation, to be able to be of service while still honoring yourself is that one fine moment where, like you said, your the step 8, that step holding on your energy is having that clear awareness of that separation.
Well, and I also think, you know, I had an experience last year. My husband's very best friend committed suicide, and that was a different experience than so many of the experiences I've had with people passing away. It was a new experience to me. I'd never been so close to a situation like that, and that step, maintaining my own energy, became of absolute importance because my husband was in a tremendous amount of grief in his own way. The family members, you know, it's a completely different experience when someone chooses to end their life in the perception that we as physical beings have. And so I had to get very, very practiced in my ability to honor my own feelings and hold my own energy and not try to rescue anybody else.
In my point of view, that requires so much love.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying it was easy. I'm not saying it was easy. I'm saying it was a challenging thing for me. But, you know, between working with Michael to maintain my own energy, and for me, I called a lot on Archangel Uriel. Uriel is the angel that we call on to help us see the bigger picture. And for me, that was of significant value because as I could see the bigger picture and see how some of these things were going to manifest in ways that would be positive, that helped me, again, honor where each person was and hold my own energy and not feel the need to take on everybody else's sadness because I could see some of the light that was coming through, even in the pain of it, even at the funeral service, you know, I could see the gifts that were there. So that was, Uriel really helped me to move through that experience.
Very cool. HeatherAsh?
Beautiful, Sunny. Thank you. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Sunny. It's so perfect because it's an interesting coming together because someone very, very close to me, her mama just died. So it's kind of one of my second mamas. Just passed on Friday, very suddenly. And so everything that you're saying, Sunny, is really resonating.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of transition happening right now. We've had several in our community, and I know you guys have your Toltec communities too. We've had several people transitioning out more than normal in our experience and around us. And so I do think that that it's important to address some of these things that you're talking about because people need the tools and they want the help and be able to be in a place of holding their own energy and be the support and the service to people instead of feeling so weighed down by the emotion when the truth of the matter is it really is a cycle and we'll see them again in a very short amount of time, you know, in reality.
Yeah.
Very short amount of time, a blink of an eye, right?
Yeah, so true. So true. And I feel, too, that what you shared about really staying very clean, and this is around everything, every day, so the awareness is such the foundation of Toltec and so many different paths. And I love that it's your step 1, that the awareness of what am I doing with my energy? Am I living someone else's life? Am I holding other people's emotions? And that coming back again to that place of if we simply ask for support, if we have that willingness to ask for support and guidance from people around us, and especially from the spirit world, that there's so much help available. There's so much guidance available. And that guidance doesn't come if we don't ask. And that's something that I've, in my relationship with the archangels and with other spirit guides, they're there, their presence is there, but there's a real respect of what feels like to me of not crossing a boundary. Like if I don't ask for help, the presence is there, but the direct, yes, let me help isn't, unless I say, I would like help with this, and then boom, it's there.
Right. Immediately. And you know, that law of free will that so many people have heard of is, you know, my vision was for so many years was, you know, just me sitting there and the angels all around me going, okay, Sunny, why don't you just ask? And then me on the floor crying and, hey, Sunny, just ask. And me banging my head against the wall, hey, Sunny, hello, we're here. Just ask. And they going, oh, no, I can figure it out on my own.
Yes.
Yeah. They're going, hello, we're right here.
Yeah, hello. Yeah. And I absolutely agree. And I think that it's so important right now to empower people, you know, through the show that you guys are offering and being able to tell people, you know, all you have to do is be in that awareness that you need help. And if you will just open the door even a little teeny bit, the miracles can occur. And, you know, I shared really briefly, but when I, after I had my first son, and I shared this in the book, after I had my first son, I literally was on my deathbed. I'd had 106.3 degree temperature for almost 3 weeks. They didn't know what was going to happen to me. You know, I was very, very, very sick. I had infection. My whole body was just oozing with infection, and the doctors came in, and I was only 18 years old. So the doctors came in and they said to me on the day before Mother's Day, it would have been my first Mother's Day, and they came in and they said, you know, we don't think you're going to live, and we need you to sign your rights away to your son so that if you pass, we know who he goes to, because I was a single mom. I hadn't married his father, and that and then they left, and so here I am by myself in a hospital room, a young girl, and I sat and I realized in that moment there is nowhere to go but up. And so what I was inspired to do at that exact moment was ask Archangel Raphael to surround me, to wrap that healing energy around me, to visualize healing moving through my body. And so I asked for his help, and immediately I could feel as if someone was breathing life into my body. And it took, 12 hours, but I will tell you what, after doing that, my fever the next day, after 12 hours of constant opening to receive that energy and allowing that healing to come into my body, my fever broke for the first time in almost 3 weeks, and the next day I checked myself out of the hospital.
Oh.
Unauthorized, but I still did it. So, it became, for me, that is such a significant story in how when we really allow ourselves to open up and not try to control the way it's going to happen. And that was an issue for me. I will absolutely admit I am a recovering, I like to say X, but I'll use recovering, control freak. And so I wanted to do it my way. And in this, there was no way besides the way that it happened. That was the only way it could have been, and I had no control. The only control I had was my breath.
And your faith, like we get the place where we get to the end and we just go, there's nothing else to do but surrender, is so beautiful. And how do we learn to do that consciously without waiting till you're going to die, so there's nothing else to lose?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's do it now.
Yes.
We plan.
How about today in this moment instead of when you're dying? And, and I think that's exactly that's the whole point. Is ask now.
Ask now. And then hold the faith, because something else I was thinking about when you were talking, Sunny, is that and Miguel, when you were talking about holding our emotions, having our own emotions, not having other people's experiences. The other place that we all want to be mindful about, I know I do, is not then going into my judge, not going into my fear, not going to my own victim of like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? Or I'm not doing it right. And so there's also that mindfulness that there's a lot of different pathways we can take within our being. There's a pathway of taking care of everybody else. There's a pathway of trying to control everything in our lives. There's the pathway of feeling victimized and in blame and in suffering. There's the pathway of just judging ourselves that we can never do it right. And all those things are like static that just get in the way. And when we can say, I'm not going to choose any of those pathways, they're all there. And it's a really committing, like you said, Sunny, committing to, I'm going to stay open. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to stay open to something new. I'm going to stay open to beauty, life, love moving through me. That's what changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with, and I would add to that the way that, for me, the way that I stay out of that judgment, because judgment was a huge piece of my life for a long time, internal and external. And the way that I stay out of that judgment is by staying present.
Mm-hmm.
If I stay present in this moment, then I'm not in the fear of tomorrow or yesterday. If I stay present in this moment, I can hear Spirit speak. I can see Spirit's presence if I'm present in this moment. But if I'm in any other place, I miss it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, like it's in that present moment where choice comes in, and choice having the ability to say yes, I'm going to go with that, or no, and also recognizing in when we judge someone, we're judging them for agreements they never made. We're judging them to our own agreements.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those beautiful things about being in that present and being aware of our own truth. In your book, there's one exercise that you asked us to do before we even continue turning the page.
I did. Did you do it?
I did it. I'll share with you, because that way, we can work on that, since I have it right here. On Monday it's white. On Tuesday it's blue. Wednesday pink. Thursday violet. Friday green. Saturday yellow, and Sunday red. Sunday red. So how does this work, so we can, the audience can hear what the exercise I just did?
So the exercise that you did, what I had to do was I put the 7 days of the week there, and then I offered you those 7 colors, each one of those colors associating with one of the archangels. And the idea behind this is that instead of you going and reading my book or reading any other book and having an experience and learning based on what my experience has been, is what I wanted to do is offer the reader their own personal experience with each one of the angels. And so, for example, today you said was pink, Shamuel. So today's archangel Shamuel. So if you were going to be doing this, if the people that are listening were going to do this exercise, then today would be pink day. And so you might wear a pink shirt, or you might wear pink underwear, or you might wear rose quartz stone, or you bringing in the energy of the color pink. You may invoke Archangel Shamuel, ask Shamuel to hang out with you, to be with you, to guide you, allow you to experience him. And then what I've asked people to do is take a few minutes and just journal anything that you might call synchronistic or coincidental. I don't believe in coincidental, but coincidental. And start to observe how, okay, let's just say maybe today, Miguel, that you felt an overwhelming abundance of love, and over and above what you would normally feel every day, or that you got a Valentine, even though it's March, you got a Valentine from someone, or that when you got into your car, there were pink roses sitting in your car. I mean, different things like that. And so what it does is it helps people to have an experience themselves with that particular angel that you can see and feel and hear and know, instead of just basing it on my experience. Not that there isn't value in hearing the stories, but I think there's so much more value when we have our own experience.
Yes, I agree. Totally.
And so then tomorrow, if tomorrow was, like, let's just say tomorrow was
Violet.
Raphael, and then you do that connection tomorrow, then what you start to do is you start to see how the energy really is different based on the support that you're calling in and open to receive around you.
And then on Friday, green?
So Friday green. So you'd call in Raphael and you'd say, okay, Raphael, allow me to experience the energy of healing. Bring healing to me, my heart, my body, my soul. And then what you would do is the same thing. You would start to pay attention, and you'd bring in the color green, whether it's a visual, whether it's clothing, whether it's stones, whatever. And then you would journal, what stood out to you today. So let's say, for example, today your knee's been bothering you for a week and all of a sudden your knee felt better. Okay, well, that's significant. Or, you know what, you've had a really heavy heart and all of a sudden you felt lighter. You felt like you broke through something. So then you have that experience for yourself that then can say, okay, I get that, because once you have the experience, nobody can ever take it away from you. It's yours, and then you have your own personal, intimate relationship with the archangels. And that is what is, for me, what was so powerful, is I know them because I've experienced them.
What you said there is so true. Because even with my own upbringing, with my own tradition, the Four Agreements and my dad's teachings and all that, up until a certain point, it was a history lesson. It was just something that it was shared to me until all of a sudden I practiced it in my life, not only like not following it to the T, but meaning I had a life experience, and the life experience changed my perspective in life. And all of a sudden my teachings, not just the Four Agreements, but everything else around me, became an instrument. And the lessons became not a history lesson that belongs in a museum, but something practical in my life. I let the lesson become alive. So like the way you're describing right now with each one of the colors for each week, the experience that we have is the actual teacher, is the actual moment where we allow these lessons to really blossom.
Right. And then it integrates into the being of who we are. Instead of it being something out there that, oh, that was interesting, it's something that is integrated into who we are and who we become. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm so proud of you for doing the exercise. That's why at the bottom of it, I don't go any further until you've done this. so good job.
Yeah, I did it. I reached that point. I grabbed because I didn't have a pen, so I just had to use my notes on my phone, and I quickly jotted in. And once I finished, I'm like, okay, so what did I just do? And I started reading it, because like it says there, the next chapter 3, was going to explain it to me, and it was riveting to watch it. So each one of these days is an instrument. It allows you to set intent, to basically become that awareness at step 1, right?
Yes, absolutely. You got it.
Okay, cool.
You got it.
That's so cool.
I love it. I'm going to go back and do that exercise.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I did the method of opening your book and skipping around and just being so in awe of the unfolding of your journey and the teachings. And so now I'm excited. And I love that exercise, too, because it allows us, like you were talking about, so much of this is about being present. Yeah. And it's a great way to remind us, stay present with what's happening now, and be curious. Be curious and have a container, a guide, to be more curious about what's unfolding in this moment.
I like that word, curious.
It's one of my favorites.
Yes, yeah. I like that word. It gives you there's a little something in there.
Yes.
A little something fun, like, ooh, what's this about?
Ooh, what is this? Yes.
Yeah.
Which is much better than, okay, am I doing it right? Or
exactly.
Which is where I tend to go, being also a recovering control person. Yeah,
really.
Experimentation and curiosity is such a powerful way to live our lives.
Yes.
Cool. And we have about 6 more minutes left on our show. Is there anything like what's up next for you, Sunny?
What's up next for me? Every year I do a retreat here in Sedona, Arizona, which is one of the favorite places for a lot of people. And so I've got a retreat coming up in April that we do. It's a healing retreat, so it's 4 days and 3 nights, and we do some ceremony, and we do some healing work, and we do some music therapy with my musician Chris, and so it's a really great a really great event. I just had 2 spots that just opened up for that, so there are actually 2 spots left for that one. So that's exciting. That's one of my favorite things to do is the retreats and just kind of getting in there and moving energy around, you know. And what else do I have coming up? I'm going to be I'm going to be in Denver next month at the Mile High Church, and I know you guys are traveling all around too. Isn't it fun traveling?
Yeah, it's a fun wave to ride. It really is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
to meet all the people that you're, you know, that you get to share with and learn from. That's what I found is, you know, people thought they were learning from me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
So much. So true.
That. I love that. So yeah, there's a lot of things on my website. If people are interested, they can go to my website and check out some of the events that are coming up. But I'll be in Denver quite a bit. I'll be in Chicago. I'll be in Fargo, North Dakota, which is actually one of my favorite places to go. I'm doing a certification program up there for 5 days in May, and I'll be in Utah in July. And you know, just we're crossing paths, and I'll see Heather in a couple of weeks, I hear.
Yay!
That's cool. Yeah, in Texas.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that'll be wonderful.
I've got an event in Austin in at the end of March. I have an event in Austin. So there's a lot of fun things happening, and I got another book I'm going to start working on. And how are you guys doing with your books? Tell us about here. Let me flip it over now. Tell us about your books for a minute. I want to hear how things are going because both of your books are pretty new. So how's it going?
So far, so
especially
good.
Miguel.
Huh?
Especially you, Miguel, since your book just launched.
Yeah, it just came out. It's so exciting.
Well, for me, it's been an incredible adventure because it's a dream come true.
Yeah.
You know, it's been wonderful to see the impact it's already having, and the people who read it and the people who like it. You know, it's to me that's exciting because it no longer is my book. It belongs to the people who read it. You know, because I'm just like I do in any lecture. I say my words, and the people who read it run with it, and that's so cool to watch. So, and I think this is the funnest thing ever, and I love HeatherAsh's book too, The Total Path of Transformation.
Yeah,
Heather?
I
do too. I love both your books.
So grateful. Yeah, and I've been so grateful to also be able to travel around and teach, and to be hanging out with the Ruizes has been such a joy. And honored to be part of this family. So all of us are published by Hierophant Publishers, and all of the authors and all of the books of Hierophant are just so clean and clear and beautiful. So I'm really honored to be part of this family.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. It does feel like a family, and so I love the fact that you guys are out there and traveling and getting out there and sharing the message, and that's absolutely true, Miguel. It's no longer, once we put the book out there, it's no longer ours. It really is. It's for the people, and that's the whole point in doing it. And so that's really exciting, and I'm so grateful that we all are a part of this family, because it is. We have a great thing going with Hierophant, and so I feel very blessed myself to be a part of it. Yeah.
And speaking of which, next week's show we're going to have Stephanie Vanette Voigt with her book Your Spacious Selfish. She is also another Hierophant author, and she's going to be on our show next week. That's going to be another fun interaction. We're closing the show up now. You can hear a replay of it on the Co-Creator Network, as well as you can hear it on our iTunes podcast on both the Way of the Desert and Toci Radio, and also available for download on the website for the Co-Creator Network. To me, this whole point of all this work is to have fun, and it's been such a fun experience with you, Sunny, to have you on the show and to share with us your wonderful message. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Oh, well, thank you. It was my pleasure to be with you guys, and I look forward to the next time we're all together.
Yeah, and can you let us know what's your website again?
My name, Sunny Dawn Johnston with a T.com, sunnydawnjohnston.com.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so
Thanks
much. It was fun.
Thanks so much, Sunny, for joining us, and thanks, Miguel, for merging shows, Way of the Desert and Toci Radio. Blessings to all of you.
Yay! Get to have fun together. Yay! So have fun. Enjoy with all my love. Thank you for saying yes to tuning in. And we love you.
We love you. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Sunny.
Thank you.
Have fun.